Hey everybody, it's Dick here. Today I'm looking once again at the BMW G310GS. This is my second look at the bike, and it's been suggested to me that maybe I was a bit heavy-handed in my first review and I wasn't that impressed, and I really wasn't seeing it for what it was. So I'm taking a second look, and you know, in the light of a new day, this is a pretty handsome motorcycle. It's really well appointed. It looks like it's a part of the GS family. The componentry looks solid. Has all the information you need on the display, and the display is nice and clean. The instrument clusters have that premium feel and look that you've come to expect from BMW. The cockpit is a balance between good design and usability. I would change out that windshield though. Stepping back and getting a nice look at the bike from a distance, you really see the reason this bike is so popular. Let's give it another spin. So I'm out on the BMW G310GS. I got a lot of vitriol after my initial review, which was published as 100% negative. Biggest criticism was that I didn't offer any of the positive, and at the time the positive was really outweighed by the negative, and I really didn't like my initial impression. But I'm one to have my mind changed, so I'm out again on the 310GS, and I have to say that, you know, I'm the first to admit when I'm wrong. Mea culpa, YouTube. It really is a cracking little bike. It has everything you've come to expect from a GS. Design-wise, it's beautiful to look at. I initially thought that the seat was pretty uncomfortable, but you know, there is a lot of movement and maneuverability in this seat. You can really move yourself around. It's not as compact as it felt the first time I rode it. And that single-cylinder engine really is a little thumper. It just kind of ticks away underneath you and does its job. Two of the criticisms of my first review was that I didn't get it out on the highway and that I didn't take it off-road, so I'm gonna make a point to do that in this review. It's got some power. It's sporty. It's a lot sportier than I initially gave it credit for. You know, you gotta run those revs a little high, but when you do, you're rewarded for it. It really does get up to speed. You know, wow. Off the beaten track, this really can do what you want with it. You know, on the little green lanes and these little dirt roads, it's really quite nice little bike. The power distribution is good. It's a lot more comfortable than my bigger GS's off-road. There's something to be said for that. You know, I really have to say, I think I was wrong. I'm the first to admit it. This is a fun little bike. Little green laning is kind of perfect through these hedgerow tracks. Really quite fun. You know, I guess you gotta accept what it is. You know, a lot of people are saying it's the adventure bike, it's a sport tour, and it's kind of a go-everywhere bike, and you can definitely confuse it for a bigger GS. I thought that was a marketing ploy when I first saw the bike, and that when you got closer it looked cheap. But you know, it is done to a budget, so you have to be forgiving about that. But it does look the part, it does play the part, and now that I'm riding it again, it rides the part, so good for them. It's nimble, it's agile, it's playful, it's flickable, it's planted. It's got a good sound to it. It's not aggressive, but there's a presence to it. You know, hindsight is 20/20, and my hindsight is crystal clear. The 310 is really shaping up to be a nice little bike. It really feels like a bigger bike than it is when you're on these little lanes here. You know, and to ride on a lovely evening through the trees really is a nice little experience to be on this bike. I don't know what it was about that first impression, but my second impression is so much better. Now we've been off-road. Off-roading was good. Feeling it on that dirt track. The weight is really well managed and controllable, and I feel like you could get this bike places where you couldn't get the bigger GS bikes, and that is probably one of the benefits of this little GS. Now let's get it out on the highway and see what we can do at speed. And that's the only other thing that we need to get a handle on. Alright, let's see what happens when we get up to speed. Okay. Yeah, alright, there's some pickup there. You gotta run it out a little bit, you gotta rev it a little bit, but it's good. Okay. Alright. I stand corrected. BMW 310GS is staying with traffic. Going 60 miles an hour. Little buzzy in the handlebars, but not too buzzy. It's actually quite comfortable. I wish there was a little more gearing, but you know, can't complain. Little single cylinder 310. It's doing its job. It's doing what it meant to be done. Okay. BMW 310GS, ladies and gentlemen, out on the highway. Not too turbulent. This tiny windshield is a bit of an issue, but I've said it before, I don't ride a lot of motorcycles with tall windshields, so not too big of an issue for me, but it is a little turbulent. If you're going to be doing some touring, you want a taller windshield, but beyond that, this thing is staying at speed. I don't feel too vulnerable in traffic. There's a big mail truck next to me here, and I don't feel like it can't see me. Yeah, nicely done, 310. Okay. What else you got in store for me?